YUBEL is my favorite deck to come out this year, and so let's go over some of the options you could be playing right now. I'll first show you the current list I'm testing, the most important combos to do with this list, and then also some other options because YUBEL does have a ton of versatility when building. Now, if you're not subscribed yet, you are missing out, so you should be subscribing right now because I want to have 100,000 subs. I am currently trying the hand trap approach with YUBEL, and the reason for that is that in the current format, I do not think you can actually reliably board break the best deck being Fire. So you need to actually hand trap them out of existence before they can play the game at all. If they can make their board, they will have the full board, backed up by non-engine, and this deck, even if you open like magical super polymerization combinations, is simply not beating that. Unless, of course, your opponent is stupid and just allows your YUBEL to hit the board. But we should not assume our opponents are stupid. So this is going to be the hand trap approach, but at the end of the video, I will also show you the board breaker approach so you can actually choose. So starting off, we have two YUBELs, of course. We have Terror Incarnate, which is somewhat of a brick, and then the base form YUBEL itself. Now, I know some people are trying multiple copies because they think that's the way to make Rudras, but you can actually do it without running two copies. And the less bricks we have to run, the better, because YUBEL is already running a ton of bricks. Now, you could also play the final form, but once again, that's another brick. You are going to increase the ceiling of the deck with a bunch of more options and bigger combo lines and so forth. But once again, every single brick you add, this deck is going to have worse and worse and worse hands. And this little fuck is part of that. That being said, look at this ulti though. Like, I mean, can we afford not to play such a beautiful ulti? I don't think so. I think I have to play it. So these two absolutely beautiful cards. Let's put them to the side. Then we have Triple Nightmare Throne. This card is crucial. Like, this is the bread and butter of the deck. Whenever you draw this, it means you can make the biggest combo because it will allow you to get Terror Incarnate, which is a free extra body on top of your regular combo. It is also a searcher for basically every card in the deck, at least the ones with 0 attack, 0 defense fiends, which is almost everything really. And so this is like a one card starter that the deck really needed, because before that, only Samsara was really the one card starter, or like 1-for-1, which is not nearly enough. If you play this deck playing only 2-card combos, you are forced onto just breakers and it's just less versatile. So Triple Throne, even though it's a little bit more expensive right now. If you were hoping for this to be totally budget, I'm sorry. One option to make this more budget is if you can only afford one throne, you could play triple Foolish Burial Goods together with Rainbow Bridge of Salvation and a Crystal Beast. You are once again adding bricks to the deck, but that's the only way to really have access to more of these if you can't afford to play these copies right now. Then we have triple Samsara D Lotus. This is the best starter in the deck, of course, and every time you open Lotus and you have Throne can search for Dark Beckoning Beast, which makes your combo bigger or insulates you from hand traps. Then triple Gruesome Grave Squirmer. This is a new card from Legacy of Destruction. It's going to be an extender. It's actually worth 2 bodies on its own, which is really powerful because all of these fiends can get you into Unchained Engine. And so anytime you basically get hand trapped, whether it's on Dark Beckoning Beast or Imperm or Valor on Samsara, this will actually allow you to still do combo. Not necessarily always the biggest combo, but you're still gonna combo. So that's why I really want to play 3 of this. This is the extender of the deck. It's absolutely crazy. And if you have multiples, it's also follow-up, because on your next turn, you can just normal summon this or special summon this, link it off into something, then banish it from the graveyard and special summon anything from your grave, basically. I say anything because all these cards, again, are 0 attack, 0 defense fiends. So this is absolutely crucial in my opinion. Then I'm playing 2 Spirit of YUBEL. I know this is a bit weird. Some people are playing 3 of this because it's like the card of the deck, but the issue is, again, this deck is bricky. Whenever you are drawing combinations of YUBEL Terror Incarnate, YUBEL, Spirit of YUBEL, hand traps or breaker, something like that, you're just sitting there with all of these high-level monsters that you can't get out onto the board. You're just doing nothing. And you might think, oh, okay, I pass and then they won't OTK because I can special summon this one thing. No, they're gonna like put up one interrupt and then OTK you still, and then you can't even activate Spirit. So I really like to have 2 just to brick a little bit less. Now, of course, once we get Phantom of YUBEL, the really powerful fusion, we might want to play 3 because then we can make the Phantom with it at least. But right now, that's not the case. So right now, this thing is just stuck there. That being said, it is really nice to open together with Dark Beckoning Beast or Spirit Gates, because that way you can still get into combo. I do think if you are playing more of a board breaker approach, then you can afford to run more engine, and then all these 2-card combos are going to get better. But with hand traps, if you want to be able to fit enough of them to matter, we have to cut on some of these bricks. Next, I'm playing 2 Nightmare Pain. Once again, similar story. If you are opening up hand traps plus YUBEL Terror Incarnate or YUBEL plus this or something like that, you are not really playing the game. I've seen some people play like dark hand traps together with this because they think you can go like Nightmare Pain, kill the dark hand trap like a Bestial or a Phantasme, add Samsara the Lotus to your hand, and then you normal summon Samsara, tribute it off, special summon Spirit of YUBEL, add another Nightmare Pain, and then you already activated Nightmare Pain to search, so this isn't leading to anything anymore. So while this card technically can sometimes play through hand traps in combination with other cards, it is almost never a proper combo starter, so that's why I'm really liking playing 2. Once again though, if you can afford to play a billion engine pieces because you're playing like 9 non-engine, which is only board breakers, then it's probably fine, but against fire, that's just not cutting it right now. Next, 2 Dark Beckoning Beast. This is a really nice normal summon that can insulate you from Nibiru, but the issue is that it's also prime imperm bait. So like if you play 3 of this and only 2 gates, which is what some people are doing right now, you will draw this often, you will go like normal summon, effect, they will imperm, and the odds of you having a gates in hand already is low because you're only playing 2, and you're like, oh, so I end my turn. So that's why I'm playing triple gate and 2 Beckoning Beast. Also, very important, if you do get impermed on the Beckoning Beast, you can still do Unchained combo as long as you have a Skirmer in hand, which is once again why I'm playing 3 of that. Now, the reason you would want to play 3 gates is because at least if you have Samsara the Lotus, you are playing through an imperm thanks to this, or you're playing through basically every hand trap, except for Ash, I guess then. Next, we have 1 Terraforming, of course, to get our Nightmare Throne, 1 for 1, of course, to get Samsara the Lotus, and then an engine not many people are playing just yet. It's Set Rotation and Chicken Game. Once again, this deck really wants to see the field spell because it's a 1-card starter that also gives you 1 extra body, which is then going to lead to bigger combos, and Set Rotation is basically another form of terraforming. Now, you are required to run 1 more field spell to give your opponent with Set Rotation, but that can just be Chicken Game. Chicken Game is cool because it's like, yeah, sure, you're gonna get your draw, but like if you're allowed to combo off, it's not really gonna do much, and also, if they use that to draw, that means they can't kill you, unless they can send it off with Snake Eye, in which case, alright, you got it, whatever. And if you already open Throne, this can also be an interrupt plus follow-up, because imagine, like, you already comboed with Nightmare Throne and so forth, you just set rotation, then your opponent starts playing, they activate some field spell, you go activate Set Rotation, Chicken Game on top of their field spell, now their field spell doesn't resolve, and you get a new Nightmare Throne to activate next turn as your follow-up. That's also pretty cool, so when you open this together with Throne, you're actually happy about it, unlike with Terraforming. If you open Terraforming with Throne, you're just sitting there like, I can't really use this Terraforming right now. This is also not really a brick, because if you do draw it, it is just an Upstart Goblin, which is cool. You know, at that point, you'd much rather draw this than, you know, Terror Incarnate and stuff like that. And then finally, for the engine, I'm playing Abominable Chamber and Sharvara, the 2 cards for Unchained. So this you search with Yama, and then this you set when this goes to graveyard. I know some people really like to cut this card because they want to keep Soul of Rage on their end board, but what you will notice is if you build that kind of end board, you're gonna have Soul of Rage plus Verudras as your end board, which means 1 Super Poly breaks the entire board. I hate that. That sounds awful. And it also means that in that combo, you're going to at one point have Soul of Rage and 2 YUBELs on field. If they nib you there, you once again end on absolutely nothing. So this is way better because you will be able to have a board of like Appaloosa or Dual-Little Chimera plus Verudras and then Abominable Chamber set. So you can still get out your Soul of Rage at any point, but at least if you get nibbed at some point, you're fine. You already have this really powerful Soul of Rage interrupt. It's also why this is not Escape, because once again, you're playing around way less. Similar story with Dark Ruler No More or Droplet, by the way. Again, if you have all of your interrupts on your board, it takes like 1 breaker to like end your life, whereas this is just staying hidden. Now for the hand traps, it's just super typical. Triple Ash, triple Imperm, triple Veiler, triple Mourner. These are like the best cards against Snake Eyes right now, and then 2 Nibiru to round it out at 40 cards. Now for the extra deck, first of all, we have 2 Yama. Like I've been saying before, I'm maxing this deck out. I love this deck. You know, in tier lists, I've said, oh, this deck is like ass. And it's true. Before Phantom, this is not a majorly competitive deck. It is no Snake Eye just yet. But boys, Yama, look at that. Absolutely beautiful. You can technically get away with only 1. I just really like the second for follow-up. You will notice sometimes if your opponent like semi-breaks the board but can't win from there, you will still have random fiend shit you can put onto the board, make a Yama, and just get everything back, assuming they wiped your back row. Again, it depends on how good your opponent is into YUBEL. well, but I'd rather be safe than sorry. So yeah, 2 Yama, 1 for the combo, 1 for follow-up. If you can't afford the second, whatevs, this will also be fine. And also in the other build I will show you, you will be forced to run 1 because of Super Poly's awful bricks. Then we have 1 Unchained Soul of Rage, really awesome interrupt. We have 1 Unchained Soul of Anguish. You don't always make this because of course on your opponent's turn you would rather make SP Little Knight, but this is really nice to go into Access Code Talker, maybe Unchained Abomination if you run that. And it's also really sick to like blow these up and then add even more follow-up back. Then we have Appaloosa. Again, this is part of the end board sometimes. 1 SP Little Knight because this is like the best thing to make with Soul of Rage. If you don't have the budget for this, you can replace it with Nightmare Unicorn, but of course it's going to be weaker. 1 Muckraker. This is again follow-up. I was playing without this card and I wanted to die. Sometimes again, they will semi-break your board and you will not have access to your engine anymore. Being able to then just go Muckraker with any 2 cards could literally be like a random Nibiru and a random hand trap you normal summon. Muckraker, get my shit back, boom, start all over. It's really, really important. Access Code Talker, because sometimes OTKing is actually hard in this deck. Like, I know people are coping that oh, my Yubels will just attack their big monster and then I will Gustav them for a game. Sure, sometimes your opponent puts a Blue Eyes White Dragon on the board that doesn't do anything, but more often than not, you're sitting there with 0 attack bodies that don't do anything. So Access Code Talker is really, really crucial then. You could play the Geist Grinder Golem, but again, that's yet another brick, and this deck already plays a ton. Then 1 Almirage. This is very important because if you go like Dark Beckoning Beast and they imperm you, but you already have a gate in your hand, or Samsara Lotus, they imperm you and you have a gate in your hand, you can just link it off into Almirage, gates it back, and then you're playing again. Then 1 Promethean Princess. This is part of lines with Sharvara. I can show you the combo later. And then 1 Dual Little Chimera. I was playing Amblo Whale before, and then I was like forced to play another Nightmare Phoenix in this extra deck, which was really annoying. So now I'm going for Dual Little Chimera, but I'm still awaiting it. I'll have it tomorrow. And then I have 1 Typhon, because it's a fiend, 1 Djinn Buster to make with the Dark Beckoning Beast, 1 Verudras, which is really important. It's part of like every end board if you can. Not every end board gets there, but if you can, you put it up. Then 1 Gustav Max. This is really nice to OTK as well. Sometimes your opponent will have like 1 body on board and then like 2 Yubel bodies will slam into it, deal 6,000, overlay, make Gustav and burn for a game. Then for the side, you can do whatever you want. This is like a placeholder for now. I have 3 Droll, in case your opponent is cringe and plays Flu. 3 Ghost Ogre. I think this card is going to get better now because of Tenpai and some people playing Voiceless. So this is, yeah, Voiceless plus Tenpai. 3 Bestials for Branded plus Voiceless. 1 Rivalry and Called By, because going first, Called By can sometimes save your life, and Rivalry, when you get hand trapped to death, you can still just flip this on fire and they can't play the game. And finally, some back row hate, triple Cosmic, and a Duster. So this is just like a placeholder. You don't have to copy this exactly. Now, some people are playing like these super heavy amounts of cards that auto-win games, but also make your deck way worse, like Skill Drain and like Shifter. So firstly, Shifter is weird in this deck because while yes, your opponent can't play the game, and in theory, you could put up like the slightest, smallest piece of shit Yubel board, any good player will pause. You will not OTK ever. You will then end on like 1 Yubel monster and maybe an Eternal Favorite with a Nightmare Pain. Any basic combo outs that garbage and then they still won. So Shifter is not it, especially now that we're playing all these awesome graveyard cards. If you open a Gruesome Grave Squirmer, this thing is a graveyard card, you know? You get so much value from it. Why would you throw that away for a shitty auto-win card that doesn't even auto-win against anyone with a brain? It is not worth it anymore. The only reason Shifter was okay before was because this deck was so dog shit, you had to have these crutches. But this deck is not that dog shit anymore, so you can throw away the crutches. Why Skill Drain is not that great in my opinion is that you're lowering the ceiling of your opponent's deck, and that's cute, but like you're still not doing that much either. And if they're good, they're just gonna start passing. You're never gonna OTK under your own Skill Drain, and they will eventually draw into their out, and you didn't put up a board either. You know, like you put up some stupid Yubel monster, sure, with your Nightmare Pain, and they drew their out for Skill Drain at some point or found some way out of it, and then they can just get rid of Nightmare Pain and boom, you're dumb. So I hate Skill Drain. I hate all these scope cards. We should be winning on the power that this actual end board puts up, because it's a decent end board, you know? We don't need the crutches. Throw away the crutches. They are cope. The only reason Snake Eye is running Skill Drain right now is because all the good floods are gone and they can actually send the Skill Drain away for cost. But then on the flip side, they can also OTK right after. Yubel cannot. Now, with that being said, there are other options, of course, and I do want to go over them before going through the combos. If you just want to see the combos, that's fine. Just skip ahead. But the other options are still still something we want to be discussing. So firstly, there is Chaos Summoning Beast. Why are people playing Chaos Summoning Beast? I see so many people on Facebook going, oh, this card is just bad. It's not true. I do not like it that much. That's why I'm not playing it, but it is not completely bad. The reason you would play it is because if you open specifically Gates, in this version of the deck without Chaos Summoning Beast, you would go Gates, then you would go Beckoning. Beckoning gets you another Gates. That's it. Sure, you could like link this off into Almirage and then bring it back with Gates, and then Almirage plus this is an SP Little Knight. You could SP Little Knight pass with this. That's not that good. However, if you are playing Chaos Summoning Beast, you can go Gates, Dark Beckoning Beast, Beckoning Beast get Chaos Summoning Beast, Chaos Summoning Beast plus Dark Beckoning Beast go into Yama. Yama gets you Sharvara, revive something with this, kill the thing with that, and then you can still make like basic combo. And with Promethean Princess, you can go even further. I'll show you again the Promethean Princess combo later. But so, Chaos Summoning Beast makes Gates a one-card combo, whereas without it, only Beckoning Beast is a one-card combo. Without YUBEL though, which is why I'm not playing more Dark Beckoning and so forth. But it's still an option, you know, if you want to have even more bricks in this deck, you can, and you will have more one-card combos. That's why this card is decent and played in OCG. Then there's Unchained Soul of Shayama. Some people are playing this because that way you can do the Caesar line, where you put up a Caesar on your board on top of the regular board, and you're basically playing like lukewarm Unchained. Now, once again, this is another brick. I do not like how many bricks YUBEL is already forced to play, so let's play less of them and not play this. However, if you're in a format or a meta or a locals where no one is playing hand traps and you can just freely play every time, sure, make your board better. You know, go off king or queen. But if not, if everyone's hand trapping you anyway, we really do not need more bricks. Next, Mature Chronicle. Now this card, I'm really sad I can't play. Like this card, once again, on its own is a brick. If you draw this plus hand traps, it doesn't do anything. This plus all these YUBEL crap doesn't do anything. However, if you are already playing the game, this does help you play through Droll and Nib, which is cool. But the question is, are you already going to be playing the game? Is everyone currently not playing triple Ash, triple Veiler, triple Mourner, triple Imperm? They are, because of fire. So for that reason, I'm not really a fan of this right now. But if the meta shifts, if everyone starts playing Nib and Droll instead of those like targeting effect negates because of fire, then maybe this does have a place in the deck. Now, some people are also playing this to banish Thunder Dragon Dark to put up Colossus on their board, which is really cute, but it's very, very win more. You know, if you can get that far, you are already winning. You do not need even more bricks. Thunder Dragon Dark, Hawk, this, all for a Colossus, fuck that shit. You know, if I can combo that far, I'll win with the basic board. It's fine. Then we have Geistgreidner Golem. This card basically allows you to OTK more easily. I like that because this deck can struggle with OTKing. Sometimes you're just sitting there with these like 0 attack bodies and your opponent doesn't have anything on their board anymore because you hand trapped them to sleep. And now you're like, oh damn, I can't OTK. So it would be cool to sometimes find this and, you know, give it to them and just bash their skull in. But again, it's also a brick. You know, I'll keep on saying the same thing. This deck is playing so many of them. Like, let's see at which cards are like brick-ish. You know, Sharvara can sometimes not brick, but it can sometimes brick. Abominable can sometimes brick. Nightmare Pain can sometimes brick. Spirit can sometimes brick. You know, all of these can basically brick. Sometimes they can be extenders in really odd combinations. That's why some people play like 3 and 3. But god, does it feel awful when you can't play and you're sitting with like this garbage in your hand. But when you can play, of course, you're very happy that you have, you know, these types of cards in your hand, because then these will at least extend beyond all their hand trap. That's a choice you'll have to make for yourself. But so once again, this is one other brick. Again, not a big fan of that. Then we have Eternal Favorite. This is probably the type of bricky card that most people still want to play. And that's because this is like a super poly type card that you can search in engine. And then if you already have Nightmare Pain in your hand, which will happen more often if you play 3 of this, then your Spirit of YUBEL at least has something else to set. And then you're happy because this is like a pretty cool interrupt. Loving Defender also helps you with OTKing more easily. But again, if you can't play and this card is in your hand, you're just like, wow, cool. Another issue I have with the card is that this requires you to put YUBEL stuff on your board. Otherwise, it's not a real interrupt anymore. But if there's YUBEL stuff on your board, that means your Varudras plus the YUBEL can just make a super poly live again. So again, you're going to be making yourself weaker to that card. Now, is that card in the meta? Not really. Only Branded is really playing it. But again, things you need to consider. That being said, if you're going to be playing the board breaker approach and you're going to be playing with super poly and so forth, then probably this does have a place in the deck because at least you're already giving up your extra spaces for it, but in a deck where you're not, then putting in a Loving Defender, I don't know, doesn't feel great. Then Unchained Abomination can be something cool to OTK with more easily. Finding space though in the extra is very hard. It's also why I'm not playing Pot of Prosperity. I saw a lot of people on Facebook talk about Pot of Prosperity, and ever since the new support, this deck is like able to combo so well. I just cannot find 6 slots to cut for pros. You could find 3, sure, but even then, I don't know. I don't feel great about resolving pros. So finding room, you could definitely. I mean, if you're confident that you will OTK without Gustav Max, you can cut this for that maybe. You can also cut Typhon for that, but I think going second is scarier, so I kind of want the Typhon sometimes. I don't know, up to you. So more options, of course, the extra Spirit, the extra Nightmare Pain, Escape, like I said before, but the issue with that is that means that you left an Unchained card on your board, so with Ferruchas, you're weak to Super Poly, a Dark Ruler, Droplet, and so forth. Unless you can make this with Yama Engrave still, then you could post Dark Ruler, just go Escape, pop Unchained, bring it back with Yama. Now, for the Board Breaker approach. This means you will have to include these 3 cards in your extra deck. Would then take the slots, in my opinion, of Typhon, of the second Yama, and then the last slot is like the most painful to cut in my opinion, but it would have to probably be Gustav Max. But you probably don't need Gustav Max anymore with Defender, because the Defender is really good at OTKing. So something like these 3 can become these 3. Then next, if we go back to our hand trap lineup, let's say it's still these, we would be cutting the Ashes, the Veilers, the Mourners, and the Nibs. So that is 11 cards. We would be putting in 3 Tactics, 3 Super Poly, and like any number of Thrusts. And then you can also play more Engine. I really like Thrust because going first, if you get hand trapped, it means you can just set Imperm or Chamber, depending on how the combo goes. And going second, it can be both a breaker, like Tactics, but it can also be Engine. It can get you terraforming or 1-for-1, which then gets you playing the game, which can be nice if you don't find your comboing reliably enough. And then the extra slots you now gained can be more Engine. So then you could probably afford to play like more Nightmare Pain, more Spirit of Yubel, maybe an extra Dark Beckoning Beast. And so you will combo more often. You will also play through hand traps a bit better because of Tactics, but your going second is gonna get weaker. In my opinion, board breakering right now is just inherently worse than hand trapping. Still, even after the ban list. But that's a choice, once again, you'll have to make for yourself. Now, how about we try to do a combo? First, I'll show you a basic Nightmare Throne combo. So this means you drew Nightmare Throne and maybe a billion hand traps. Cool, makes your board even better. Or it can be extra cards that lets you play through hand traps, but whatever. So Nightmare Throne gets you Samsara, then normal Samsara, get rid of it. Gets you Spirit, Spirit Effect, gets you Nightmare Pain Effect, Joy Spirit. If you already have Squirmer here in your hand, you can also search Samsara the Lotus for follow-up, which is really important. So then we get Grave Squirmer, and then Yubel and Throne will activate. Here you gotta ask yourself, like, do you put Nightmare Throne on Chainlink 1 to play around Ogre? But then they could have Ogred this already, but you know, you could still do that. So Chainlink 1 this, Chainlink 2 Spirit of Yubel. So we put up Yubel, and we also put up our Terror Incarnate. Then we special summon Grave Squirmer, then Grave Squirmer plus Yubel makes Yama. Then Yama effect searches your Sharvara, and then Yama plus Terror Incarnate makes Soul of Rage. Then you're going to banish Grave Squirmer to special summon Spirit of Yubel. You're going to use Sharvara to pop Spirit of Yubel to special summon Sharvara. Then Spirit of Yubel and Yama will trigger. So Yama will banish itself to special Spirit, and Spirit will special summon Yubel. Then these two will go into Promethean Princess. Then Sharvara's effect will trigger, putting Abominable Chamber here. Then Princess effect gets you back Sharvara. Then Sharvara plus Princess goes into the Dual Little Chimera that I currently do not have. And so what's really important here is that if on your opponent's turn you activate Princess to kill Dual Little Chimera, the Dual Little Chimera will add back Sharvara, which means that even though you are locked under fire because Princess is on your board, on your own turn you can still pop the Princess with Sharvara, getting you out of the fire lock, because this is a fire, and then also in the process allowing you to play again. So that's very, very important. That's why the Dual Little Chimera is so good. Something people were doing before that was Sunlight Wolf to add back Sharvara, but the issue is that Sunlight Wolf points only downwards. So if you then put Verudras under it, you can actually not do the Soul of Rage link play anymore, which was a big issue. Amblo Whale kind of fixed that, but Amblo Whale then locked you under fire, and then you couldn't actually play the game unless you could link off Promethean Princess for Nightmare Phoenix. So that's why Dual Little Chimera kind of feels nice. The only issue with Dual Little Chimera is that they can out it in the battle phase, which then turns off your Promethean Princess. So they all have pros and cons. The best thing, of course, is the Amblo Whale plus the Nightmare Phoenix plus Promethean Princess in your extra, but that's more extra deck space. Can we afford the extra deck space? I don't know about that. But so anyway, so this is currently our board, and then we overlay the Spirit plus the YUBEL into Varudras, and just like that, we have a really powerful end board. Because what are we looking at? First of all, we have an Omni Negate, and it's also a pop. Then we also have a Abominable Chamber, which can bring back Soul of Rage. Then if they do anything, Soul of Rage plus that thing goes into SP Little Knight, and then SP Little Knight banishes another thing, and if they do something else, you can once again banish the SP Little Knight with that other thing. Then if they special summon one more time, you can kill the Duality Chimera and kill their thing together with Promethean Princess. Then Duality Chimera brings back Sharvara into your hand. But so yeah, that's a really strong end board, and that is only Nightmare Throne. So if you're playing a hand trap variation of the deck, that means you now still have 4 hand traps to nuke them. So you're probably winning after that resolves. The question, of course, is it gonna resolve? Because we are in a hand trap format, so whichever build you're playing should be able to play through hand trap. Now the other line, let's say you didn't open Nightmare Throne, you know, we're sad, we are not gods, we can't open that every time. Let's say we have only Samsara the Lotus. You might think it's the same thing, but no, the throne actually gave you access to Terror Incarnate. So instead we're gonna normal summon Lotus, we're going to special summon Spirit, Spirit effect, gets you Nightmare Pain destroys Spirit of YUBEL, adds Grave Squirmer, Spirit of YUBEL effect, special summons YUBEL. Then we're going to special summon Squirmer, these two go away, into Yama effect, gets you Sharvara right here. Then we're going to activate Grave Squirmer, banishing it, bringing back Spirit of YUBEL, then Sharvara effect, killing Spirit, then Spirit effect, bringing back YUBEL, then Sharvara plus YUBEL, make Soul of Rage, then Sharvara effect to set a bomb, and then Soul of Rage plus Yama goes into Oppo. Now you have a 2 negate Oppo. Basically, this is your end board. So now you have 2 negates for Oppo, and during your opponent's turn, at any point you need it, you can go Abominable Chamber, bring back Rage, Rage plus their thing, link off into SP Little Knight, banish, and then once they do another thing, banish again, and Oppo, you know, you have your 2 negates. So that's the board then. And then you also still have follow-up in your grave because of Yama, because at any point something dies, you can still go like Spirit of YUBEL, special summon, adds a Nightmare Pain from your deck to hand, or special summon Samsara the Lotus, which then means you can once again kill it for YUBEL the next turn. Now, final combo, let's say it's a 2-card combo, you have Throne plus Beckoning Beast, you go normal summon Beckoning Beast, you get yourself a Spirit Gate, and you activate Spirit Gate's effect, bringing this back, you get your additional normal summon, you overlay them into Djinn Buster. So now you are safe from Ash and or Nibiru. So then you go Nightmare Throne effect, destroy Samsara the Lotus from your deck, then you discard something to bring it back with Spirit Gates, then Samsara the Lotus effect gets you Spirit of YUBEL gets you Nightmare Pain effect, kills Spirit of YUBEL, gets you Grave Squirmer, Spirit of YUBEL plus Nightmare Throne, puts up Terror Incarnate and regular YUBEL, and from here it's basically the same combo, right? We've seen it before. Squirmer plus YUBEL to Yama effect, gets you Sharvara, then Yama plus Terror Incarnate, makes Rage, then Gruesome, banish, brings back Spirit, then Sharvara kills Spirit, Spirit plus Yama brings back Spirit and YUBEL, and these two into Princess, Sharvara effect engrave to reset Abominable, then Princess brings back Sharvara, Princess plus Sharvara makes the Duality Chimera that I don't have yet, and then these two overlay into Varudras. So at no point could your opponent nib you or ash you unless on Dark Beckoning Beast, but ashing Dark Beckoning Beast feels absolutely awful because it means any other extender actually plays straight through it, which is not the case for a lot of other moments. Also, this means on top of this board, you now have still this monster negate in your opponent's turn. Now, the one issue with this line, as you can see, is they can super poly the Varudras plus the Djinn, which is a really painful trade. But you do still then have Chamber into Soul of Rage, which is a really powerful interrupt, and you still have the Princess Destroy, which is really nice. So this is definitely still a really nice combo. You can just get slightly punished by super poly, but you still have other plays then, and don't forget, still have 2 cards in hand, maybe hand traps, so they're probably still not breaking it. So that is the YUBEL deck right now. I hope you found this very interesting. I do love this deck. Again, in my tier list, I've been saying it, this is not a hyper competitive deck. People are coping. It will top a regional maybe here and there, but any deck can do that. We've seen heroes top at certain points, you know? But that being said, it will one day, in my opinion, be extremely powerful, and that's why I am currently playing it. I want to become absolutely insane at this deck so that when it becomes powerful, we have that edge of playing it for months before anyone else. Hope you found this interesting. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you soon. Ciao.